Murray, your guide, and I'm so excited that you're with me this session. I believe this is going to be a pivotal moment. We're going to cover a topic that's so important, and I'm going to start it with a thought: don't believe the hype. There's a lot going on in media, in culture. There's chaos actually in America right now. And I believe that there is something afoot that we should really get our arms around and really wrap our minds around what's happening. The appearance of evil in every category, in every area, like absolute pandemonium and chaos. I was watching television, probably I got probably 15 minutes in, and I was checking out the news to see what was going on around the country. And I'm not sure if you recognize the feeling of what's happening right now, and if you've actually felt that guttural feeling of uneasiness and anxiety and anxiousness and really just a lot of conversation about everything that's bad about the country. And I just looked at it and shook my head and had to turn the television off. Yet at some point, at this point in life, we've just got to say, I'm not participating in the madness. I'm just not doing it because we've been here and done that. We saw how this works out. We saw this movie. We saw this play. We know how it works. And I believe that there is something far more sinister than what we just see on the surface. I actually believe that this is probably one of the greatest distractions, the greatest bait and switch moments of our time. The last time we experienced something as bizarre as what's going on in the streets of America, it was right before we faced some of the most intense, most abrasive and harsh and punitive lockdown measures, a situation that had never faced this country before. Citizens had never felt the pain of this. And I believe that if we are going to really become our best selves and really move into our purpose and really achieve what has been placed in our lives, what's in our soul, what's in our heart, the thing that we're supposed to do, we just cannot fall for the hype again. We just can't do it. We just cannot allow this to happen. As a matter of fact, anytime anyone attempts to control you through the use of fear, fear is not a positive mechanism, and it is in no way an indicator of good or bad, right or wrong. When someone is trying to lead you or cause you to take action because of fear, that you always have to push the brakes and push the pause button on that because you do not have to fall for it. Without question, I think it's a trick. And why is that? Over the years, what we were taught, and I'm sure many of us that are watching the podcast, we're from that generation where we were told fear is false evidence appearing real. And this was something that was instilled in us so that we knew if ever you were in a moment of fear, you knew that you should continue to move forward because the very fear that you felt inside, it's not real. It's just not real. And so, what we're watching right now through common media and popular mainstream style media, we're watching the propagation of pandemic like fear. This makes no sense. It is hard to make a rational decision or move in an appropriate way when fear is being fed to us at every waking moment. I'm going to challenge everybody. This is the time. Right now, everything across the globe is changing. The internet leveled the playing field. It literally took information, it took people out of the dark ages and dropped information right in their laps. And now, while we've got the greatest access to information, technology, all of that, we're being forced out acting like barbaric animals, screaming and yelling and unable to communicate with each other. It's a terrible thing, and somebody has to say it. I'm going to challenge you with something that we really, really now more than ever, you must journal this moment. You must journal some of the things that people are saying, some of the negative ideas that are being pushed across all the media platforms, so that you can remember this, so that you don't fall for this, and that you don't allow it to take you down some rabbit trail of failure. I would submit to you that there is something that is not just sinister, but it's coordinated, it's calculated. Someone doesn't like America, but if not here, where would we live? Do you know, I'm not sure, and I hate to be the guy to break this to you, because what I'm about to say is really painful, because it's going to startle some people, and you may not know how to handle it, and it may cause a bit of anxiety, but please just hear it out, and I think you'll be okay. But it's important. I've got to mention it because I'm not certain if you recognize this. The pigmentation that you see on my skin is actually a result of melanin. And the melanin is a result of a historical characteristic of my ancestry. Actually, I was not indigenous to the United States. My family came here from another country. And unfortunately, half of my family came voluntarily and the other half came involuntarily. Nevertheless, they all came, and here I am generations later. The one thing that we cannot do is turn back time. The thing about history is we're supposed to learn from it, not grovel in it. There is a point that if we are going to achieve the greatness that's actually right before us, we have to shake it off and keep moving. I live each day as you should live. You are the product. You are the dream of your ancestors. You are living the hope that they carried. And here we are. You have to imagine if every single person lived in their past, what a world we would be if everyone lived in their past. The funny thing about the past, it's history. It is a story, it is his story, and it may be connected to you. Today, I had a person telling me about a holiday. And in this, and I don't know anything about the holiday. They told me to research it, and this is someone that's very dear to me. They said, "Go do your research, learn about this holiday, and you're going to find out that on this particular day in history, a lot of very terrible things happened." And I just listened, and I thought to myself, "We run a business. We have very limited time. We have alternative businesses that we're involved in. We have children that have now reached young adulthood and going on to college and doing a lot of things like this. At the same time, my wife and I are actually going through transformation ourselves. We're studying, we're reading, we're learning, we're refining, we're developing, we're reinventing. We're doing all of these things. What I do not have time to do is to take a deep dive into the negative side of history. Do you know what's interesting? Mankind itself sits on the shoulders or stands on the shoulders of historical atrocity. That has zero to do with race. It has zero to do with culture. It only has to do with the fall of humanity. We right now are being told by current culture that we should not be pursuing our best selves, but what we should be doing is relitigating the atrocities of the past. That, my friend, I believe could be one of the greatest tragedies of our time at a moment when we could be taking quantum leaps in education, in science, in literature, in development, in research, in all of these areas. But no, 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 no. Come out of the labs and go to the streets. Come out of the colleges and go to the streets. Come out of the churches. Forget the mission fields. Come out of the mission fields. Go to the streets. Tear something up. Make your voice heard. Don't do it in a literary way. Don't do it in a way that we could teach and train future generations. Don't do it in a way that we could actually build and transform the lives of others. Make your voice heard by destruction. Go destroy something. What? This makes no sense. And when you get to a point where you've got more years behind you than ahead of you, you just have to say it makes no sense. In the old days, our parents and our grandparents used to draw a line and say, no, this makes no sense. But all of a sudden, we're quiet. All of a sudden, we're just going along with everything. Everything makes sense. Unfortunately, it doesn't. And I believe that what is afoot is mass derailment. Can you imagine if all of a sudden every train in the United States was taken off of its tracks suddenly? That is what is happening. There are people right now, currently, that were on a trajectory toward greatness, having amazing ideas, coming up with inventions and cures and and new concepts and strategies. But do you know where they are? Out in the street somewhere, acting a fool. Why? Because culture is telling us this is what we should do. Wait 1 second. Who told you that? How will we build into the future? By destroying the past. That makes no sense. It's the past that actually gives us character. If we seek to destroy everything that happened, no, that makes no sense. Why are we allowing it? Our silence is nonverbal agreement. It's okay. Do you know I remember when I was in my 20s, I was clueless. In my 30s, I was starting to get my brains. And but when I got to my 40s, I thought about something. I can't wait until I'm mature. When I got to 40, I was thinking this. I can't wait until I get to a point where I can share wisdom by just a sound or a grunt. No, not that. You shouldn't do that. That's not a good idea, right? I was waiting to get to this point. I was waiting to get to a point where words really mattered, where I could have an impact in the lives of other people. I've I've waited for this moment all of my life, and I believe that you're also at this exact same moment. You don't get to 60 by accident. You don't get to 70 by accident. You didn't get to 80 by accident. This is not the time to be silent. At this point, we need to find others, young people that are willing to be mentored, young people that we can pour into. Find the ones. If it's not your children, find some children. Find someone where you can actually have an impact and make a difference. The only way to change the future is to do something right now, not something ridiculous and insane and destructive. No, 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 no. Guess what? When there was a disagreement, my wife and I have been married now for 32 years this year. No, 31 years this year. And what's interesting, we made a decision when we got married that even in the face of a disagreement, there would be ground rules. There would be no yelling. There would, well, yeah, yelling, but not overt yelling where you're yelling above someone else's yelling. So you can make your point and she can make her point. Everybody can make their point, but no one is going to try to dominate the other person with their voice. We made that decision when we married. We made the decision that we would not break anything. So we don't break furniture. We don't throw glasses in the fireplace. That's only television. Do you know if we act like they show us on television, you can never accumulate anything because you have to rebuy everything? That makes no sense. And we made the decision when we married that there would be ground rules. We wouldn't call each other out of our names. We wouldn't get into any type of physical altercation. I would honor her womanhood and she would honor my manhood, and that we would always respect each other even when we disagreed. Like, we just set some ground rules. What has happened in America right now, they're upending normalcy and upending order. Do you realize that where there is no order, there can be no progress? There must be order. Everyone cannot just do whatever they want to do. It just doesn't work that way. You can't run a business where everyone in the business is doing what they want to do. It can't run. The business can't succeed. My wife and I have been in business together for 30 years. You cannot run a business successfully with no order. There has to be an order. There have to be doors. There have to be locks. There have to be lights and light switches. There have to be handles on faucets. There it has to be clean. It has to be neat. It has to be organized. There have to be systems. Who is it that's saying that disorder makes sense? Who is it that actually told us that rioting, looting, and destroying makes sense? I don't know who said that, but that's what we're seeing a lot of. Can I ask one thing? Why? If that person is in your family, I believe you owe it to yourself to say something. You owe it to them to say something. This isn't right. And we are the ones that have to say what's right and what's wrong. Remember, we're on a journey of transformation. And even though we're only at week 7, I mean, my God, we have to get to week 52. We can't go through a, a huge swath of months of craziness. This doesn't make sense. So I'm going to encourage everyone. I'm going to encourage us to do a variety of things. Number one, I believe one of the most powerful things, which we'll be talking about in the next episode, well, 2 episodes from now, which is prayer. I believe now more than ever, we need to pray. The reason we need to pray is we need God's intervention. Sometimes mankind and society can become so upended and chaotic that the only recourse, the only hope is God, because only God can actually touch and transform a heart. God can take a dictator and make him change his tune. God can take a person that's a tyrant and cause them to reform. God can take a person that does not care about the people and touch their heart. God caused a president once upon a time to make the decision to fight against slavery here in the United States. God actually took a great leader in South Africa, de Klerk, and moved upon his heart that he had to do something about apartheid in South Africa. I'm certain when he did it, he had no idea that things would change the way they have, and that the thing that he thought would be a great thing would actually turn out to be just probably one of the most troubling and chaotic times in our history as humans. You know, the funny thing about life is sometimes we find ourselves in a position where God has to get involved. Man can't do it. Only God can do this. I'm going to challenge you that over the course of, let's say, the next, I would say, the next week and a half, that you spend some quality time praying, quality time seeking God and asking God for guidance. I'm going to encourage each person to ask him, who is it that I'm supposed to mentor? Who am I supposed to touch? Whose life am I supposed to impact? I believe there are people that are waiting to hear your story of struggle, your story of triumph. Someone that's waiting to hear all the things that you went through and how you were able to overcome them. Nothing is wasted. I believe everything you've gone through was for a purpose. And now is the season and the time for you to identify, where are you supposed to plant those golden nuggets, those treasures, those seeds of triumph? Where are they to be planted now? I'm so excited that you tuned in today. And I just want to let you know that we will be back on the next episode to talk about some very powerful concepts. I want you to know this as well. We appreciate and we are thankful to our sponsor, Care Michigan. Care Michigan is a medical case management and care coordination company located in the city of Troy. So if you or anyone that you know has been severely injured in a motor vehicle accident, please call Care Michigan at 833 696 2626 and let them know that you heard about them on the No Time to Waste podcast. Thanks so much. And I look forward to seeing you shortly on our next episode. Make it a great one.